Some scary shit. I've given this a lot of thought. I don't see any peaceful way to disarm America's whites. There's only one thing that's gonna save this country from itself. Same thing that always saves this country from itself, and that is African Americans. Right. And I know the question that a lot of y'all have in your minds is, should we do it? Yeah, fuck yeah, we should do it. Listen, no matter what they say or how they make you feel, remember, this is your country too. It is incumbent upon us to save our country. And you know what we have to do. This is a fucking election year. We gotta be serious. Every able-bodied African American must register for a legal firearm. That's the only way they'll change the law. I hate guns, personally. I can't stand them. Yeah, but I have several. I don't want them, but I feel like I need them. Don't forget where I live. I live in Ohio. And anyone that knows anything about Ohio knows that even the word Ohio is an old Native American word. It means, literally, land of poor white people. And I don't know what's going on down here, but in my experience, poor white people love, and I mean they fucking love, heroin. They can't seem to get enough of it. I didn't even know what I was looking at first. I was just driving like, why are all these white people so sleepy out here? These things. It's really bad. As a matter of fact, I was coming out of a nightclub the other night in Dayton, and I'd parked my car in the alley, and no one was out there. I didn't have no bodyguards or nothing. I was home. I figured everything was fine. And as soon as I opened my car door, all by myself, suddenly, one of these heroin-addicted whites just pops out of a trash can. It scared the shit out of me. I screamed, ah! And then I realized it was a woman. She was fucked up. She said, hey man, relax, okay? I'm sick, all right? I need some drugs, man. Please, I'll suck your dick for $5, man. I was like, ugh. 2. Obviously, I'm joking. This opioid crisis is a crisis. I see it every day. It's as bad as they say. It's ruining lives, it's destroying families. Sadly, you know what it reminds me of, seeing it? It reminds me of us. These white folks look exactly like us during the crack epidemic. You know, it's really crazy to see. And all this shit they talk about on the news about how divided the nation is, I don't believe it. I feel like nowadays we're getting a real good look at each other. It's wild because I even have insight into how the white community must have felt watching the black community go through the scourge of crack. Because I don't care either. Hang in there, whites. Just say no. What's so hard about that? Remember when y'all said that to us? But it's okay. There's no grudges. Now you finally got it right. Once it started happening to your kids, you realize it's a health crisis. These people are sick. They are not criminals. They are sick. Be that as it may, I'm armed to the teeth. First gun I bought was a 12-gauge shotgun. I didn't want the gun. Remember, though, I'd moved to a farm, and I was sitting there on the porch, and I see a white dude walking across my property, entitled, like he's supposed to be there. He had a rifle over his shoulder, too. Ain't that a bitch? I said, what the fuck is this guy doing on my property? I was mad as shit, but I was unarmed. So I ended up just waving to this motherfucker like a bitch. I was just like, and as soon as he got far enough away, I ran to my car and sped to Kmart. This is in a rural white area. And remember, I was nervous because the guy was on my property, I'm black, and I was sweaty. You know what I mean? And I ran to the gun counter, black and sweaty, sweating and black, and I looked up at the nigga, I was like, I look like a slave or something. I said, I need a gun immediately, like that. Just like that. The guy didn't answer, no questions. He just grabbed a 12-gauge shotgun, handed it to me. I'd never even held a gun before. I'm not a dummy. I'm like, well, I need some bullets too. And the guy reached under the counter, put 2 box shells on the counter. He said, all right, buddy, which box do you want? And I didn't know. One box had a picture of some ducks on it. The other box had a picture of some deer. I said, well, what's that box with them ducks? He said, oh, that there's birdshot. And then he goes just like this, I'm not exaggerating, he goes, that won't kill a man. He said, it'll just pepper him up nicely. I said, what the fuck? Pepper? You know what it means to pepper a motherfucker up? It means that when the shell explodes, hot BBs will shoot out of the barrel of the gun, not killing a motherfucker, but penetrating their skin and shallow flesh. Boy, that's gotta hurt. Hot BBs? Ha, ha! Remember when Dick Cheney shot a motherfucker in the face and he lived? That was birdshot. I said, well, what's that box with the deer on it? He goes, oh, that there's buckshot. That'll put a hole in the goddamn truck if you wanted to. So which box do you want? And he picked the one with the deer up and shook it. I thought he was trying to trick me. I was like, do you have a box with a picture of a white dude trespassing on it? Because it's exactly the strength I'm looking for. But I didn't know that if you're defending your home with a shotgun, the formula dictates that you're supposed to buy both boxes. This was not a formula that I was familiar with. It goes like this. The 6 shots in a 12-gauge shotgun, so when you load the gun, you load it like this. First shot, bird shot. Next shot, buckshot. Bird shot, and then after that, gun's Jamaican. Buckshot, buckshot, buckshot.
Most of my friends are from the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder and made it to the middle and the top. What to do? So we all had a long trip.
I know you got to get your hustle. So I pray and I understand the game sometimes, yeah. And love is strong.
I love coming back. I've been back here many times, but not to celebrate me.
We're here for you. Always been here for you because you've always been here for us. And I love you strong, brother.
Richard Pryor was the first recipient of the Twain Prize. When I started SNL, he was the first person I asked to host. In the summer of 2016, with the election looming, there was another person who I was just as determined to have. I knew that for the November 12th show, after the election, it had to be Dave Chapelle.
Thank you.
I knew I needed someone to explain what had just happened. I had to have Dave for the same reason I had to have Richard. He's a truth teller and the funniest person working today. This was going to be a big moment for SNL and for him. I knew when the moment came, Dave would be ready for it.
But America's done it. We've actually elected an internet troll as our president. And the whites are furious. We've never seen anything like it. I haven't seen white people this mad since the OJ verdict. There's a split screen with white people on both sides. Ah! I'm not saying I'm enjoying it. I'm just saying I've never seen this before. I watched a white riot in Portland, Oregon on television the other night.
That Wednesday, the day after the election, we had our read-through for the show. The mood was pretty bleak. And people were feeling tense and very vulnerable. It was a mess. Dave sat down beside me, looked at everyone, and sensed the emotion in the room. He asked if he could read a quote by Toni Morrison. The quote read, "This is precisely the time when artists go to work. There's no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, no room for fear. We speak, we write, we do languages. This is how civilizations heal." I knew then that we'd be okay. The show opened with Kate McKinnon singing Hallelujah as Hillary Clinton, and then out walked Dave. I had no idea what he was going to do. I'd like to think he did, but I'm not even sure about that. He was breathtaking. He was brilliant. It was a landmark show.
I'm wishing Donald Trump luck, and I'm going to give him a chance. And we, the historically disenfranchised, demand that he give us one too. Thank you very much.
Your ability to speak your mind, regardless of how anybody feels about it, that fearlessness to entertain the way that you want to, has definitely pierced my life to the point where I played a werewolf choreographer last night. And I was very proud to do it. And I learned all of that from you. You know, I hold your first 2 seasons of the Chapelle Show up against any sketch comedy show, I would say, in history. It's just brilliant.
Good evening and welcome to the first and maybe only racial draft here in New York City.
And I'm excited to see who's going to be drafted by which race. And the blacks have actually won the first pick. Oh my.
Wow, that's the first lottery a black person's won in a long time, Billy.
Yes, and they'll probably still complain.
Man, fuck you.
Black delegation. Shoot, Tiger Woods.
The richest and most dominant athlete in the world. Now he is officially black.
So long, fried rice. Hello, fried chicken. I love you, Dad!
I had no idea you had so many old white fans. But
I feel like I died and went to Brooks Brothers, but
I think honesty gets thrown around a lot. People talk about honesty in comedy, but a lot of great comedians don't always tell the truth. I mean, Rodney Dangerfield, I looked it up, was actually very well respected. He lied the whole time. When we talk about honesty, we talk about not being afraid to tell people the truth about how we feel, because that's the connection that comedians can have with people, and I think nobody does it better than you ever. And that's what we learn from, because we all know that we're a part of the joke. Dave makes it, he's willing to make fun of everybody, whether you're white or gay, end of list. He's,
Everybody loves me, and I love everybody. I got friends who are L's, I got friends who are B's, and I got friends who are G's. But the T's hate my fucking guts. And I don't blame them. It's not their fault, it's mine. I can't stop telling jokes about these things. I don't want to write these jokes, but I just can't stop.
it's weird for me to even talk to you about comedy, because you can tell everybody in this room everything there is to know about comedy, but there's one thing that you'll never know about comedy, and that's doing comedy with a Dave Chapelle to look up to. So I thank you for that. Thank you so much.
Word.
And I'm here to celebrate Mark Twain. To me, that's comedy. If you don't believe me that Mark Twain is hilarious, I would just like to read a brief passage from Huckleberry Finn.
Okay. All right. Tighten up.
Huck Finn turned to his friend Jim, or as we called him, you don't have to read the whole passage.
We're gonna make love tonight? As friends.
I have to say now.
Oh, you smell delicious. Because I love him so much. I'm like I'm a very emotional person. You know this. I'm gonna cry for you.
I swear to God, I've never seen an art form purer than stand-up comedy. It puzzles me that people are confused if this is an art or not. Man, talking shit is an art. Talking shit is an art. Ain't that right, Mary? All the stand-up comics in the room, I just want to remind you, I promise you, and I've always said it, we have the best genre. We don't have to know anything but what we know. And everything we know is valuable because of what we do with it. Stay true to yourself. Fuck the game. The money will come. Most of you won't make it. I'm gonna be honest. I heard an interview with Patton Oswalt, famous comedian, started 1 week apart from me. Patton says in an interview with Terry Gross, you know how Terry goes, yes. Patton said to Terry Gross, he said, Terry, nobody does good their first time doing stand-up. And he stopped. I was driving in the car listening to this interview, and he goes, okay, Dave Chapelle did good his first time doing stand-up. I smiled from ear to ear. Patton didn't tell Terry is the next 7 or 8 times were fucking terrible. But the first time was so motherfucking good. It'd be like the first time you had sex, and then the second time you were having sex, somebody hit you in the head with a sledgehammer. This is not nearly as good as the first time. But you know what? Maybe someone won't hit me in the head with a sledgehammer the 9th or 10th time.
I don't even necessarily believe in politics, but I think that trust in politics is something that the country desperately needs.
President Bush continues to make his case for an invasion of Iraq.
After carefully examining the region, me and my cabinet agree that that area is definitely ripe for regime change.
All right?
That nigga tried to kill my father! Man, Lincoln is fucking up. Damn. Truman is fucking up. Man, Carter is fucking up.
George Washington is the worst of the worst. Yes, I said it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. Go get me a sandwich, nigger, or I'll kill you. Liberty, justice for all. I watched Donald Trump in a press conference. I am going to bring back coal. Coal? I'm not even exaggerating. I have never in my life even seen a fucking lump of coal. If you're gonna have motherfuckers digging around in the dirt looking for shit, find me some truffles, nigga. That's what I'm about. This is a fucking election year. We gotta be serious. Every able-bodied African American must register for a legal firearm. That's the only way they'll change the law.
Although America is the greatest nation in the world, we still face many modern problems. Healthcare is in shambles. Medicaid doesn't work. Meanwhile, our neighbors in Canada have free healthcare for all their citizens. So what am I suggesting? Fake Canadian ID cards for all Americans. I'm Dave Chapelle, and I want to represent you.
Thanks for not giving me a standing O, motherfuckers. This is the worst. It's all right. It's all right. I just wanted to smoke. You like that, don't you? Okay. Before I did Killing Them Softly, when I was 22, HBO gave me the biggest opportunity of my life at that time. They gave me a half-hour special, but this shit was not like a special, you know what I mean? It was like, it was generic. It didn't even have a title. It was just Dave Chapelle. And I shot it in San Francisco at a place called Broadway Studios, which is on the second floor of a building. And beneath Broadway Studios is a nightclub. And the special was only supposed to be 30 minutes. And I got ready, I practiced, I did all the shit I was supposed to do. And the night that I taped, 20 minutes into my 30-minute set, I'll never forget this, music started blasting from the nightclub underneath. You could hear it real loud, and it fucked my whole show up, and I was devastated. I was a young man. I really believed in what I was doing, and I thought that my dream had been killed. So when I got off stage, I ran down the steps to the alley behind Broadway Studios and where the control trucks are parked, and I kicked that motherfucking door open, and I started yelling at all the producers. I was nobody in show business, just a guy that believed in us. I said, man, you fucked everything up. That fucking music, what the fuck were you thinking? And there was a guy who was a big-time producer, I ain't saying no names, and he stood up, and he said, hey, kid, sit the fuck down. He said, we didn't ruin anything. He said, we made a deal with that nightclub to not play music, and they didn't honor the deal. And I said, who didn't honor the deal? And he pointed to a guy. I'll never forget it. It was an old white man sitting in the Ford Taurus by himself. And he said, that guy right there. And I didn't waste no time or ask no questions. I went to that Ford Taurus, and I beat on that window, and I said, open the door, motherfucker, I want to talk to you. And that old man looked at me for 1 second and wisely drove the fuck off. And left me in the alley cussing at anybody who would listen. And 2 minutes later, literally 120 seconds later, couldn't have been any more than that, the doors of the kitchen in the alley of that nightclub underneath Broadway Studios flung open, And that old man was standing there, that same old man with reinforcements. He had 2 big goons with him, and he looked at me, and he was calm as a cucumber. He said, "You, come here. I want to talk to you." I didn't know anything about the streets at this age. But I found out later in my life that these men were Russian mobsters. And I don't know what you guys know about the Russian mob, but these are the niggas that killed Denzel in Training Day. And all the producers knew what I was up against. They said, "Dave, do not go in there." And I said, "Fuck y'all." And I walked right into that kitchen, and they closed the doors behind me, and it got dark as fuck in there. And I knew, I'm not dumb, I knew I was in a bad situation. But you have to understand, I believed in what I was doing, and I didn't give a fuck. Just kept cussing at these motherfuckers, telling them how they ruined my life. And that old man couldn't believe that I was talking all this shit. And as soon as I took a breath, he stopped me gently. He said, "Hey, kid, listen. Your friends lied to you." He said, "We made a deal. Your friends." He said that. I realized I was locked in the kitchen. I realized he was telling the truth, which would make me wrong. And the moment, the very moment that I realized I was wrong, for the first time, I was free. You see, it's a funny thing. You're absolutely right. You get drunk off the feeling of how right you are. That's why gay people are so But I didn't buckle. You guys were very proud. I was scared, but I didn't buckle. I said, "Well, sir, I owe you a apology." I believe that no matter what reason that music was playing, I took over my life. And that old man looked at me, simple as it is. He walked over to me, gently placed his hand on my cheek. But you gotta tell you, it was a very emasculating thing to do. I was standing there looking at his hand on my cheek like, and he said, "You are a real man. Real soft. Just like that." Doors opened back up. The light from the alley flooded into the kitchen. And I just walked out alive. I lived to fight another day. In that moment, I learned one of the most valuable lessons in my life. In your life, at any given moment, the strongest dream in that moment wins that moment. I am a very powerful dreamer. Yeah, I'm not lying. I dreamed tonight, this very night, as a 14-year-old boy, and I am living it as a 50-year-old man. My dreams are very strong. Today, I walked all around Washington. I used to be poor in this city, and all day people just said, "Hey, Dave," like they knew me personally, and I felt like I knew them. And I say to myself, "My God, Dave, what a powerful dream." But then sometimes I feel regular. Just feel like myself. Maybe I'll smoke some weed and be in some nightclub and feel shy. But I'll look across the nightclub and I'll see some guy that no one's ever heard of. But this nigga worked all week and got bottle service. And there's bitches bringing Moet with sparklers to him. And I picture in my mind he's Persian. He's doing some kind of weird Persian dance. And he got 6 bitches at his table because he got so much liquor, and they all call him saying, "Go Cena, go Cena." And I'll be looking across the room like, oh my God, I'm in that guy's dream. I can hear him telling his friends, Hey, how was the club last night? Man, that shit was fantastic. I had bottle service. I seen Dave Chapelle across the club looking at me like, ooh, who was that? And that's the trick to life. You have to be wise enough to know when you were living in your dream. And you have to be humble enough to accept when you're in someone else's. It's why I don't judge between Will Smith and Chris Rock, because you guys look at them as big ideas, but I look at them as fellow dreamers. I can't judge between them because I see myself in both of them. I am Will Smith. I am the man that cannot take it anymore and will slap the shit out of the next person that says a crossword to me or somebody that I love. And I am Chris Rock. I am the man that can get slapped in front of the whole world and keep my composure so I don't fuck anything up. That is what men do. Men make boundaries. Men enforce boundaries. And men test boundaries. And no man tests more boundaries than a trans man.